We have an update to a story you first heard here yesterday on Ellie in Space. Gwynne Shotwell is defending Elon Musk. I'm kidding. That's me in news anchor mode. That's how I would have read the story if this were a news broadcast, but this is my YouTube, so we're gonna be a little bit more casual. But yes, the president of SpaceX is coming forward to defend Elon. I released this video yesterday about Elon looking for some street fighters for a hardcore litigation department, and just a day later, we're hearing in an email leaked from Gwynne Shotwell that she is defending Elon. In an email to employees, she wrote, "I believe the allegations to be false, not because I work for Elon, but because I have worked closely with him for 20 years and never seen nor heard anything resembling these allegations." Now, Elon responded to her response on Twitter, writing, quote, "Astute observers of my plane, and there are many, will note that I don't use a flight attendant. Moreover, only fruit and nuts are stocked on the plane. I use flights as an opportunity to fast." Now, if you watched my video from yesterday or just read the multiple headlines, you'll know that Elon is accused of propositioning a flight attendant. This allegedly happened back in 2016. According to this investigation, this happened on one of his private jets. Apparently, the flight attendant declined the offer even though Elon offered her a horse. And then, of course, the settlement followed of $250,000, and we're just hearing about this now. I asked a lot of you yesterday in my video, do you think that this is a politically motivated hit piece like Elon is suggesting? Many of you said yes. Now, there were some of you that say that this has changed your opinion of Elon, and you do see this as an example of a billionaire just trying to get away with things. But the majority of you said yes, the timing, the sources seem to indicate that this is a politically motivated hit piece. One of you also commented, and I want to address this, this is important to me, that Ellie always starts a conversation but never inserts herself into it. And I actually have an explanation for this. I took this as criticism, and I think that this is a good observation and quite true, and I'll explain. So, being a journalist for over 8 years, my job, my duty was to report the news fair and accurately and balanced. And so inserting my own personal opinion into more controversial subjects was not an option. In fact, I could get fired from my job for doing so. So after almost a decade of having that mindset, it's very difficult for me to insert my own opinion because there's a subconscious part of me that doesn't want to get in trouble for picking a side. So this is something that I will be working on moving forward. Again, I do prefer to be the interviewer and ask the questions and turn to experts. That's part of my whole job as a journalist, but I agree with this person. I do think that I like to ask you guys questions, and you are all probably wondering, well, what does Ellie think? So I will do my best in the future now to insert more of my own opinion, but that's just a little background of why I haven't for so long, and that was actually by design and something that, could have got me in trouble. In fact, I almost didn't get a TV job because of the YouTube. And there was reasoning from an agent that I was trying to work with that, well, because I was making videos about Starlink, therefore I supported Starlink, and if something happened down the road that, Starlink blew up or, something, there was bad press about Starlink, then, oh, Eliana, this TV news personality is supporting Starlink, and I thought it was kind of ridiculous. I actually pushed back against that, and I ended up getting a job anyway, but I had to be really careful about my opinion and what I said online. So anyway, sorry to ramble. But with that being said, now that I'm full-time, I have a lot more flexibility creatively with my time and also with what's going on in here. But let's get back to this very informal broadcast. So we also saw a tweet from Elon that will surely excite those who live that RV life or maybe have considered living that RV van life but haven't done it because of worries about having connectivity. Well, Elon tweeted and many Starlink users got an email about this. Quote, Starlink now available for RVs, campers, and other large vehicle users. Note, antenna too big for cars. I actually had a long discussion with Farzad Mesbahi. He is a former Tesla employee, and that was one of the things that we talked about, is how having Starlink available for RVs and just people in rural areas could really make a bigger impact than maybe we've even considered. He asked me an interesting question about, will this make prime real estate locations for places that hadn't been considered before because of their lack of service. I know that Dave Lee has been using Starlink for his camping trips. Do you have Starlink and do you plan to use it? Do you have an RV? Is this news relevant to you?
Only in the not immediately. We don't have Starlink right now. We're fortunate where we live. We have high-speed cable, and I think there's a fiber company coming in here in the next couple of weeks, which I can't wait to switch into because their internet provider is not great. Sorry, I'm not even going to say their name because I don't want to plug them. But I'm excited for Starlink in the long term because I do see it. I think it's going to change the game for third world countries huge. And I know Dave Lee has talked about this too. It's going to be sort of like what the cell phone was for telecommunications. You literally had to lay down wires. You had to erect freaking structures to do that. And then once the cell phone came out, a lot of these countries where they didn't have the telecommunications network, they skipped it entirely and they just went straight to cell phones, right? Starlink is the same thing, but for high-speed broadband, you know? So that's extremely exciting. I think it's going to enable basically half the world to come online with very affordable high-speed internet, which enables you to do so much. Like this is possible because of high-speed internet. Right. Imagine connecting people that have essentially never been connected to the internet before, who have lived life a certain way. Oh, I know. It's like the book Sapiens.
No, but I've heard it's great.
Okay.
Did I read it?
Yes, please do. So, and the reason why I say that is because, so in the book, if you believe that humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, if say the human race has been in some way, shape, or form, I think Homo sapiens, like our race, is technically 200 some odd thousand years old, and up to the advent of agriculture, which is about 10,000 years old, we were nomads. We roamed the lands. We went as a human species. We were wired to just go places. Yeah. And then it wasn't until the advent of agriculture 10,000 years ago that we all decided to just okay, nobody move. We have a farm. We got wheat. We got everything we ever need. No more going away. Yeah. And it's almost like the argument that the book makes is that the advent of agriculture, AKA making cities, like making a civilization that's static, that's in one place, is actually one of the it's a very inhuman thing to do, because we're essentially being domesticated by the crops that we so highly think we're domesticating, where it's actually the other way around. Like wheat has used us as a way to ensure that it goes everywhere. And if you really think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Whoa. But I wonder how much of this sort of RV Starlink free roaming nomad lifestyle, how much that's going to connect to the primal Homo sapiens side, and it's going to become this new way of living, which is forget the stay in the place. Digital nomad sounds like a hipster, 2% kind of the population thing. Yeah. But what if it's 50%? If that book is correct and we really are, and it say all the science that has been done around it, if the justification really is that humans are meant to roam, then I feel like if you make that very you make it accessible from a cost perspective and you make it affordable enough for people to do it, why wouldn't you do that becomes the question. Totally. I don't know. I might be speaking crazy, but it's literally that's where my brain went. So now I want to read the book for sure. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. And it's so hard to put down. Yeah. Have you thought about how that's going to transform United States as an example? There is so many parts of the country that are gorgeous, freaking gorgeous, but the cost of living is super, super cheap because the infrastructure is not really built out. But I feel like if Starlink starts becoming available in these more remote areas, I feel like those places are going to become massive prime like real estate. Like, have you thought about how
I
Starlink can
haven't.
change the game there?
I
Yeah.
haven't, but I could see where you're going with that. I mean, I'm not sure, if there's still other things that are lacking in those areas, like, if the nearest grocery store is 3 hours away or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think what it does is if someone is feeling, overwhelmed by paying high rent in a big metropolitan area and they would be fine on a countryside, but they need that internet connection for sure. You could see some people finally live the lifestyle that they want to live and still do
Yes.
their work. But I mean, it could, I mean, the rent and the housing market right now is also another thing that is just insane. To
Yeah.
rent here in Salt Lake City, it's overpriced, so I could see why people would want to get away from that. But
Yeah.
obviously not having internet is just, yeah, horrible.
I feel like the combination of like, if you take that and then so the Starlink equation solves your communications issue, and then say one day with the full self-driving thing that Tesla's doing, say they get into the RV game and the RV can become like a true mobile home.
Yeah.
Like, what's the market for mobile homes that are self-driving that have high-speed internet everywhere? I feel like that's a
Oh,
pretty big market,
yeah. Oh, totally.
you
Totally.
know?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
I
if it's cheaper than living in a apartment somewhere that you're paying $1,000 a month, if
yes.
it's cheaper to run this thing, like let's say it's
Yeah.
$400 a month, why wouldn't you be remote? You know,
Right. Right.
you get to wake up in the mountains somewhere every freaking morning. I don't know. I might be like thinking about this crazy, but like I'm like I would totally do this with my wife for like 6 months out of the year. Like, why wouldn't you
Totally.
do that? It's freaking gorgeous.
And here's another really interesting update. Take a look at this map. Here you can see where Starlink is available and where Starlink is coming soon. And one of the best use cases that I've discussed a few times over the past year in videos is how Starlink could impact third world countries. Elon has announced that Starlink will be coming to Africa soon. Someone tweeted Elon asking any plans for Africa. He replied with yes, first countries in Africa to be announced soon. Starlink will serve everywhere on Earth that we're legally allowed to serve. So this is really exciting, especially for people who have never had that connectivity in their life. This is absolutely going to change their world. And it's been really cool for me to sit on the sidelines and see the developments and the rollout of Starlink and how it's already changed so much for so many. So thank you for watching this video. I have more videos that I'm working on and more shoots that I have planned, some that I have to travel for. So I have those trips booked and I'm so excited to share that content with you. I know you guys really like it when I don't know, get out of the living room and go somewhere. So I actually have another trip to Starbase soon. So get excited for that. Again, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. And if you support the channel, please consider signing up for my Patreon. As I mentioned, this is my full-time job now. So if you are looking to help out, Patreon is actually one of the best ways, if not the best way, for YouTube creators to sustain a livable wage, get revenue outside of YouTube ads, because believe it or not, that can be very hit or miss and it's maybe not as great as it seems. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. And one of the best use cases positively impact thorough, bleh,